If I could start my futures trading journey over again today, knowing what I know now, I would do a few things completely differently. I'm Jason. I've been trading since 2020. Now, early on, I lost some money, made some of that back, but more importantly, I learned things I just didn't need to know. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I would start from zero today. I'll show you what to focus on, what to completely ignore, and the rules I would have in place from day one for just a regular person with a full-time job. This is exactly how I wish I had learned. Now, before we get to markets, setups, platforms, and all of that good stuff, I'm going to go through 4 reasonable expectations of where I think you're probably coming from. Very common scenarios for most of us. One is that you probably have a regular full-time job or some kind of income source. Now, these things are protection for us as we learn to trade. They're not a disadvantage, even though sometimes they can feel that way. And the picture of a modern-day trader has changed and continues to change in the favor of retail traders like you and me. And number 2, I'm going to assume a small account. Now, some of you might be able to start with a larger account, but we're going to start small because that promotes discipline as we start our learning process. And number 3, I'm going to assume you have limited time. Now, if you've got a full-time job, you're not going to be able to sit in front of the screens all day. I have a full-time orchestra gig. I'm a father of 2. I've got a family. Now, I have to pick my spots, and that's exactly what you can do too. And number 4, this is important, no income expectations. Now, you've probably heard the stat, 90% of traders fail. That's because of the money psychology involved with this skill. You have a chance now, an opportunity to start within the 10% of successful traders and stay there. So forego any kind of income expectations, forget about the money, and focus on learning a skill. And now quickly, here are 4 things we're just not going to do. 1, we're not going to strategy hop. Pick one simple strategy and commit to it long enough to learn it well. Now, how you pick that strategy, we'll get to that a little later on. 2, don't try to learn everything at once. Trading is an infinite rabbit hole, so learn what matters and learn it well. Don't confuse activity with progress. Now, it can be tempting to think if you're not trading constantly, you're just not being productive, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Your process in refining that is what really matters as we start. Number 4, don't trade multiple markets. Find 1, maybe 2, and commit to learning the behaviors of that market so that you can apply this simple process to a market that you're familiar with. Okay, we know what we're not going to do. We know we're starting from zero, and we know that there's a lot of noise that we need to ignore. So how do we actually get started? First of all, you need a computer. You need some gear. Get a laptop at least, okay? You can get a desktop if you want, but at least a laptop with 16 gigs of RAM at the very least, in my opinion. And make sure it can handle at least 1 or 2 external monitors. You'll be thankful to have that later on when you expand your skills. So you got your machine. Go download NinjaTrader. It's the first thing I would do if I were starting today. If you're trading futures, don't worry about any of the other platforms. NinjaTrader is the one you want. Now, you can learn to trade for free on NinjaTrader. Don't pay any money for NinjaTrader except for funding your account because you get data for free if you do so. So just throw some money in your account to open it, get the data for free, and you can practice on sim for as long as your heart is content in doing so, okay? Which is very important. You don't have to spend any money at all in fees or commissions or any of that until you're ready to trade live, okay? So you got your computer, you got your platform. Now we need to choose that one market, the one that we're going to focus on. And that is going to be based on 3 things: liquidity, consistency, and respect for market structure, okay? So the one that I would pick if I were starting today is the ES. It's the S&P 500 futures. Now, what it has going for it is a lot of trades in and out of that thing every day. It is highly liquid, a lot of money in and out, which is great because that means it moves well during trading hours. And there are repetitive patterns and respect for structure in the market that you can learn fairly quickly. And it moves so well that you're engaged as you're tracking it and learning it. You won't get bored. Now, as far as time frames go, 1 60-minute chart, 1 tick chart, okay? 60-minute chart is for more overarching structure, larger swings in the market. These are going to be levels that you're looking to trade around on your tick chart, which is where you're going to enter your trades. Keep it that simple. Remember, as you begin, simplicity is your edge in the market. Do not make it more complicated than it needs to be. The better trade processes are those that are simple and less complicated. So what are the skills you need to learn in order to become a good futures trader? There are 3 things I would focus on first. 1 is structure, 2 is your execution, and 3 is context. Now let's start with structure. This is essentially what the market looks like on your screen, what's important and what isn't. And there are 3 things we're going to focus on inside learning structure, and that is swings and pivots, support and resistance, and trend lines. So let's start with our swings and pivots. I've got all 3 right here in one chart. This is a silver 60-minute chart. The blue lines are important swings to the upside. And if price were to come down and interact with them again, I would be interested in maybe placing a trade somewhere. Areas of interest, essentially. At the top, you can see that I've got my yellow line up here for the top of the range and this blue line here for the bottom of the range. So you can see that back when price was printing these bars, that this blue line down here with the bubble on it, that was just a swing. That's all it was at that point. And then I labeled the top up here with the yellow line. So blue lines for bottoms, yellow lines for tops. And then once it came back down and bounced off it there, then I knew that this was a line of support. It's keeping price up above it. Now that we have ourselves a support and resistance area and we recognize what that looks like, we might be able to get a trade out of the movement. So let's see what happens here. And you can see that price right on the trend line. We'll get to that. And then right here, price moves under it, fakes everybody out, back inside the range we go. Okay. So the only way you'd be able to take advantage of that kind of trade and exploit that price is if you understood where the support was and what to do if price were to interact with it. Now, an important part of this scenario as well are trend lines. Silver has been moving in the same direction in the same way, bouncing off the same line, slowly moving upwards in the same kind of trajectory. And that's what a trend line is. It projects trajectory of price. So those three things, you can see all three on our charts. Swings and pivots, the blue lines, support and resistance, the yellow and blue line, and then the trend line from the bottom of this move all the way to the top. The market is essentially just a visual representation of those three things combined. You can see all three of them without much else you need to worry about on this chart. Now let's talk about entries and risk. Entries and stops coexist. You can't have one without the other, and this is where most traders fail. When you enter a trade, you should absolutely know where the fail point is. When does that trade become invalid, and when are you going to exit, even if it's a loss? Too many traders hold on to trades for way too long because they don't want to be wrong. The sooner you can learn to recognize when you're wrong and change course, the much better trader you're going to be. Now, the last skill I'd focus on is context. Clues, confluence, information supporting a decision that you want to make in the market. So every time you place a trade, you know that you have support and context behind it, no matter what the result is. In order to do this effectively, I've created a free futures trading checklist, and I use this every day. It keeps my entries honest, profitable, and consistent. Now, I've made this available to you if you want it. Click on the link in the description below, completely free. I think it will improve your trading immediately and definitely will help you make better decisions in the market. Now, what that will help you build is this. You're going to have to learn when the market is actually supporting an opportunity. You need to know the difference between a session that's worth trading and one that you just want to keep your hands away from. And this is where real instincts form. The more context you learn, the easier it is to trust your instincts in the market. Now, this is important. Most traders don't fail because they don't know enough. They fail because they just haven't practiced enough and don't understand risk. So in order to check the box of practicing, we're going to use simulation mode. Now, NinjaTrader has got a great simulation mode, but I want to make sure that you have a plan when you go into using simulation. And now, it's not attractive because you're not trading real money. That's fine though, because eventually you will. And the longer you spend refining your skills without risk, the better it's going to be for you when you transition to using real money in the market. At some point, you're going to have to cross the channel from simulation to trading real money. Now, that always comes with its own set of challenges. No matter how good you've gotten on simulation, new experiences with trading generally tend to bring out old bad habits. It's just how it is. So you're introducing something new when you're introducing money. So be prepared for there to be a little bit of a setback in skill as you adjust mentally to trading real money. That's something I wish I had thought about and studied more before or as I was making that transition, because it's uncomfortable. That transition from sim to real money is not the only transition you're ever going to make in trading. There's always new things coming out. News happens, world events happen, life things happen. Things are new constantly. And so you need to be able to adapt to that. And the more you do it, the quicker you get. When I stopped trading simulation, it was when I was like, there's just nothing else I can do. I have to make the step now. At some point, you just got to step out of the batting cages, take a swing in the real game, and that's what that transition is. But I encourage you, use simulation mode for as long as you possibly need it. Now, at this point, you might be thinking risk rules, markets, learning how to read them. How am I going to put all of this stuff together? Here's how I did it. And it was one of the best trading related decisions I ever made. It was one of the right things I did when I started out, and I hired a mentor. And I was lucky to find an excellent trading coach who took me from zero experience to a consistently profitable trader. He cared as much about my trading as he did his own. And that said, I know finding a good mentor is not easy. One search produces 1,000 different results, all kinds of different price points, and some of the loudest people out there are great at selling things, but maybe aren't so great at trading itself. But every good trader I know shares one trait. They care deeply about teaching and continuing to learn themselves. If you're considering a mentor, set up a meeting with them first. See if it's a good fit. And if they're unwilling to do that, well, you got your answer. Run far away. But when you do speak with them, ask these questions. How does your approach work? How long have you been trading? What does the membership timeline look like? What other costs should I expect to be involved? How do you track client progress? How often do we meet? And what support is available between meetings? And one question I think matters a lot. If this isn't the right fit, who would you recommend I speak with? Now, good mentors know other good mentors, and they're willing to point you in the direction of the right resources for you, whether you end up working with them or not. Now, I mentor new traders, and during every initial conversation I have with a potential client, I always say, whether we work together or not, I want to be a resource for you as you get started trading. Now, if you'd like to talk, there's a link in the description below. You can click on that. I'll give you a free hour on the house to talk about mentorship, trading, whatever it is you want to. And if it's a good fit, great. If not, I will do my absolute best to point you in the right direction. Now, that brings me to my next point, because even with guidance, struggle is normal. So you're going to have to ask yourself a question. How long should I expect to suck? Well, there are two truths here that I want you to understand. One, most traders fail. We talked about that. And the opportunity you have when you're starting out now to start and stay inside the 10% of traders who succeed. That is a real opportunity for you right now, this moment. And the other is that trading is a skill, and that supports the idea that you can learn to do this well. And skills take time to learn. Now, if there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it is this. Starting right beats starting fast. Too many people want to start quick because there's money involved and they want to make money, and I get it. The right process is going to keep you profitable for the very long term. You start fast because you want to make money, you're probably going to lose it. You don't need to rush. You don't need to focus on everything at once. Focus on one market, one specific set of skills, manage your risk rules, and find the guidance that you need. And give yourself grace while you learn this amazing and difficult skill set. Now that you know how I'd start trading in 2026, check out this video next. NinjaTrader Review, is it the best futures trading platform in 2026? If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe. I think this will be a good resource for you as you get started on your trading journey. I'll see you soon.